Hello, my name's Lorene. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. I don't think Taz will stay with us. He's not a lap cat. He'll just have a couple of minutes of petting. Um, for some of you, you were wondering what his name was. T-A-Z, Taz, and he's a male. A very good-natured, chilled male. They say, from what I understand, that tuxedo cats tend to be more on the chilled side, and calicos, which is the other one, Missy, tend to be on the grumpy side. And I don't know if she's grumpy so much as just sort of prefers. She's an introvert. So I've also lost my glasses somewhere in the middle of filming for the previous one during the hurricane. In the video, it shows that I'm wearing the glasses at about 8 o'clock when I'm doing the dishes. And the next morning, when it was nice out, I cannot find my glasses. They're somewhere in the house. But what a disappearing act. So, yeah, not happy about that, because these are from a prescription ago. I know that if I go to the eye doctors and say, I need some, new eyeglasses with up-to-date lenses, I will either actually need newer lenses, or I will find the old glasses. So I'm just hanging on. Well, between one thing and another, last week I didn't get a ton of reading. We did a lot of cleanup for the hurricane, and I did finish a couple of things that I was telling you about. I did finish the end of Cinnamon and Gunpowder, which I really enjoyed. It was a good ending. It was a bit of a surprise ending. Yeah, I would say, because it could either go this way or that way, but the author managed to find a third way. And yeah, it was a good romp. And if you like pirate ships or sailing ships, you get a certain flavor for that. If you like the occasional battle at sea, you get a few of those. If you like cooking with obscure what are those things? Ingredients, then you'll get a bit of that too. And luckily, it doesn't fall into soupy, soppy romance. It's not love at first sight. It's just sort of a gradual attraction towards each other. And yeah, so it doesn't go into the soupy. Although it should have, maybe, because he's a chef. Dear Mrs. Bird by A.J. Pierce. I also really enjoyed. I think in the previous video I said I was kind of not enjoying the beginning because the character was so not really clued into her surroundings or clued into next steps. And so and I was also reading it at the same time as a couple of authors that were very assertive, so it just seemed particularly flaky. Well, she is a bit of a flake, but not quite as badly as I thought. So what she ends up getting into is a job during World War II at a newspaper office, where she thinks she's going to be a war correspondent, but in fact she is answering letters from people who've written in Agony Aunt, I think it's called. So, dear so-and-so, my husband just won't pick up his laundry. What should I do? I feel like leaving him, kind of thing. And the woman who's the editor has this huge list of things that she refuses to talk about. And Emmeline, feels bad because some of the questions are from people who really are in a bit of a jam and really want to know. And so she takes a couple letters home and writes an answer to herself, from herself, but signs it with her boss's name, and therein lies the plot. There are a number of mishaps along the way. There's some tragedy, there's some love, there's secrets. So I think it's a much better book than I anticipated, and I'm very glad I read it. It's also funny, which is also hard to get across. I think it has a little bit of the flavor of Bridget Jones's Diary, not in terms of plot, but in terms of what should I say? Well, I want to say voice in a way, but that's not really what I mean. It's sort of the slightly chaotic humor, but she doesn't get into pratfalls or embarrassing situations. But it has a sort of effervescence, I think, that is quite nice, quite a real treat. It was a real treat. All right, what I finished in the meantime, two that I would enjoy both of them. I think the doldrums actually was, and the Hamsley Curse is book 2 of a pair. It's just a duology, and I read the original one like a billion years ago, and at the time, I guess it was before I was really competent with the internet and the library site itself. And for a long time, the library itself was really a bugger to get through. And so I just could not seem to get hold of book 2. And it just happened to appear on, they do those display units. So it was up in the young people's section, and there it was, Doldrums, and I thought it was the first book in the series, which is just called the Doldrums. So I took a closer look. Nicholas Ganon wrote this in 2019, I believe, and 2017, sorry. So that means the other book, the first one, would have been written 2015, 2016, something like that. Although I want to say even earlier, just because it took me so long to, try to find it and then forget. So I don't really remember. I remember liking the first book. Obviously, why would it, if I didn't, I would have looked for book 2. But book 2 sets up a premise where the boy's Archer's grandparents had gone missing in the previous book, and he was undertaking a search and rescue operation with 2 of his friends. And I actually have very little memory on that. There was a bad person involved, and there's a different bad person in this book. And the grandparents have reappeared. Archer's parents, his mother in particular, are just very unhappy at that development, and she is determined that Archer is not going to come into contact with his grandparents. They're just such off the beaten track individuals. So one of his dilemmas is how to connect with his grandparents. Another of his dilemmas is that his grandparents have been set up as people that need to be expelled from their explorers society. And so they've been set up with false documents and accused of inappropriate behavior in the explorer's code of conduct. And so there's this effort on Archer and his friends' part to try and get the proof to demonstrate that his grandparents are innocent of the charges. It just takes a very long time, and it kept my attention, but they really don't leave the house very much. There's quite a lot of discussion points. There's a very small community in the middle of a snow blizzard that the grandparents are accused of somehow very weirdly causing. So there's a candy shop, and there's a lot of good scenes in the candy shop, and there's some sneaking about the city. There's a very cool miniature truck, but it's a very small setting, and it's a very small adventure, very specific dilemma, and it just takes a very long time to get to the end. I don't think I love it. I think maybe in connection with, reading the first book and the second book closer together, maybe that kind of energy and so on would have been tighter, and I would have remembered the characters. For me, I had to do a little bit of thinking about it and just trying to recall, or just trust that I enjoyed the characters back then, and so, don't think about these characters too much. I'm pretty sure there aren't any other books in that series, but... So the other book I picked up that I'm really glad I did, this one has recently been recommended to me. Yeah, so the Doldrums I've been waiting for a long, long time. This one, a spindle splintered by Alex E. Harrow, is fairly new to me. I think it's just been in the last oh, let's see, 2021. Yeah, so it's just been in the BookTube world being recommended in the last little while. And this is Alex Harrow from the, sorry, 1,000 Doors of January and The Once and Future Witch, or Once and Future Witches, I believe. I enjoyed both those books. The 1,000 Doors of January's, I think, it was one of those weird things. I liked it more than my book club liked it. And then the other one, The Once and Future Witches, I liked less than my book club liked it. So it was one of those weird little things. A Spindle Splintered is a fractured fairy tale, and it is a young woman in our contemporary times, and her name is Zinnia Gray, and she has a very peculiar disease where her proteins in her body over-manufacture themselves, and eventually, without drugs, she eventually gets a complete shutdown in her muscles and in her organs and tissues and so forth. So it's like an accelerated growth of proteins. So on her 21st birthday, her best friend Charm, which is a nickname, holds a birthday party, and they then it's legal drinking age wherever they are. And so there's a tower, and there's roses, and there's a spindle, because all of Zinnia's life, she has imagined herself in some fashion in the Sleeping Beauty's fairy tale. And what Zinnia did as a young child, she tried to run away from home, and because her parents were just so overprotective, so just watching for her to die, like not in a malicious way, but just in a suffocating way. And so she ran away, and when she was found and brought back home, she made a deal with them that they would let her go off to college. And she did, and she studied folklore and the fairy tales. So as an adult, she still used, I think it was Cinderella that she has done her thesis on, and come at it from a feminist point of view. So there's this kind of thing happening in the background, and in the foreground, she's gone up to the tower with the spinning wheel. She pricks the spinning wheel. Well, then the adventure really begins. And so we have got Sleeping Beauty in a different dimension, who's been trying to avoid this spinning wheel because she thinks of it as a curse. But is it a curse? Or is there an alternate dimension? Is there a way for both of them to kind of escape to their dooms? Or even if they do sort of manage to escape their dooms, is it permanent or temporary? So these are some of the questions that are asked in this book. It's quite short. It's 119 pages. I guess I read it probably in about 2-ish hours. I took it with me on another adventure. It's really been a month of adventures because, well, anyways, I love this book. I really do. And I believe that there are 4 others. So I'm pretty sure that Alex Harrow has written 4 more. And I guess because they're so short, it's, because this was published in 2021, 22, 23. Yeah, I guess this is the first one. So I guess she's managed to just figure out a way to be prolific in the space of 2 short years. So my last adventure, or latest adventure, because I hope there's always more, is my girlfriend and I, we went up to Parsborough, and there was an event that's for the, what is it called? SAQA is when you take all the little letters together and pronounce it. So the Studio Arts Quilts, something or other, Association probably. And there was a conference for the Atlantic provinces, and there were people from New Brunswick, mostly from Nova Scotia, and we had one lady come in from Washington, D.C. So we had a lot of fun. There was about 14 of us. Keynote speaker, show and tell of our artwork, 2 really good dinners, very nice bottle of red wine, lots of laughs, and it was just so pleasant to be with fellow artists, textile artists, and just talk about different things. There was a workshop on photography, and there was another workshop on either getting mentored in your art to, up your game, or to be a mentor to someone who's coming along. Exhibitions, all those kinds of fun art stuff. And you know, Parsboro is really a cute little town. It comes on the sort of Bay of Fundy as it kind of curls around a little bit. I don't know the waterway that well, but it's so Nova Scotia's got, you know, a clump of land over here, and then it kind of curls around, and this is the Parsboro. I don't know what it's actually called, but there's the Joggins Museum for fossils, and there's Great Village and Economy and Bass River, and I don't know, something else. Anyways, it's a really nice drive, and a number of different private parks, mostly for RVs. And it was about an hour and a half drive off the highway, so we get to Masstown. Of course, we chose the wrong road immediately. So we were about 30 minutes in the wrong direction and headed to the border of New Brunswick before we realized, ooh, that's not going to work. And we managed to do a dangerous U-turn on the highway. Do not tell anyone in authority. You know, it was not dangerous. It was safe. We waited until there were no cars in any direction. Oh, there's the bird. I think it's 2 o'clock. Anyways, we wheeled around and we got back to where we were supposed to go. I hauled out my bottle of cider and had a drink. My girlfriend lay down. She found it a little bit stressful. And the party began. So it was good. It was really, very. So, and that's all I was able to read. I only had time for this, and actually I had to work a little bit hard to get it done. So October is going to be a month of just trying to catch up. I still have this stack. That's from September. And those are from library, and these are the ones that are, you know, that I own, that I wanted to finish. And what's coming up for me that I'm pretty excited about is Nonfiction November. And I will participate in that, and that is where the organizer will set out some prompts as to what kind of content or author or book cover or something like that in the world of nonfiction to look for, or you can ignore it. You can read one book or you can read multiple books. So she will be doing some suggestions, and I believe last year what happened, she and another, it was Olive from Olive Books, and I don't remember who the other 2 booktubers were, had a number of recommendations in advance, so that should be coming through. And so today's job, when I finish this, what I'm going to do is make a wish list and see what I can get at the local library, and I might treat myself to purchasing a non-fiction book, just because. Anyways, that's it for me. I'll keep you up to date on the Nonfiction November adventure, and I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true. Bye-bye for now.